Welcome back to Derailed. I'm JJ Lahey, here with my good friend Jake, the draft robot Schyvinck. And Jake, this is a huge day in Packers news. So huge in Packers news, we had to make the last-minute executive decision. We're pushing Mock Draft Lab to Friday because, let's be honest, the draft is certainly going to be super affected by this, but we need to process everything that happened. And so many things happened that probably a lot of you listening to this, especially if you're listening live and you haven't had a day or two to digest stuff, haven't heard everything that's going on today. It's been a big day. So what we're going to do, Jake, we're going to try and be pretty structured. I forgot to tell you before we started that I do have a pretty hard stop at the 1 hour mark today. Normally I can go a little bit over, but just due to my schedule today, I can't go over today. So we're going to try and be structured and go through these guys and these moves one at a time. Let's start, Jake, with the big one, Rashan Gary. Rashan Gary traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a 2027 fourth round pick. 1 to 10, Jake, give me your level of surprise that Gutekunst found a taker for Rashan Gary's contract.
Well, I think it would have been like an 8 after, Instagram postgate and all that. But I then remembered something. There is a guy that we've made trades with before that don't make any sense from the perspective of our trade partner. That, of course, being Mr. Jerry Jones. And then I went, and when that notification came in that Gary was being traded, I was like, well, there's only one person who would do this. It's Jerry. Yeah. It's Jerry.
I mean, this is the guy who took Kenny Clark's contract off our hands as well.
Yeah. So I just really appreciate him taking on contracts.
You got to wonder how many other guys who we had to move on from that we first called Jerry and said, like, hey, crazy out of the blue question. We got this dude on a terrible contract who has been underperforming. Would you be willing to give us like the moon for him? Now, look, I like Rashan Gary. He's a dude who I've gone to bat for a bunch of times over the years. I really felt like in 2020, 2021, you really saw kind of the stars aligning. You could see the vision where he was going to take off. And like his big breakout season, which was unfortunately cut short by that field in Detroit, Michigan, where his knee explodes. He was on a absolute bender that year, just going crazy. And, it was exciting for all of us finally seeing the vision come to fruition and seeing the reality of what he could be. And it seemed like two things kind of happened. One was that he really lost some of his burst after that ACL tear, that it just never came back. Some of the bend and the explosiveness just was gone. And then I'm going to say something. I'm really not trying to be like offensive. And like, Jake, I want you to reel me back in if you disagree with what I'm going to say. All right. You're checking me here.
Okay. Oh boy.
It seemed like Gary, and this is really dramatic, it seemed like he just kind of like gave up after the injury. Like he'd be out there, but just the drive and the effort, that second effort just wasn't there the way that it had been. And I think that like one of the examples that really would stick out to you the most would be this past season, Micah Parsons just chasing dudes down like a cheetah chasing a gazelle. You think like Jared Goff, scrambling to the sideline on the first play of Micah Parsons' Green Bay career. And like Jared had he's so safe and so far away from the pass rushers. He has no reason to think that he's going to get absolutely chased down from behind by Micah. And you compare that throughout a lot of the rest of the year to Rashan Gary kind of just giving up on plays. You see his teammates like sprinting past him. He's just kind of jogging. And it's like, dude, the play's not over. The ball is still in the quarterback's hands. I'd like you to put a little more effort into trying to get to the passer. It felt like Rashan Gary just gave up and didn't really have the drive in him anymore. And this is one of those things that for me, I wonder if a change of scenery could be exactly what the doctor ordered for maybe like the mental side of Rashan's game. That if he was just feeling demotivated, that having a fresh start somewhere might be a really beneficial thing for him. And then at that point you're just kind of praying that he can find some of that explosiveness again with continued therapy and training. All right, go ahead, reel me back in if I went too far. What's your take on kind of how we got from the high water mark of, hey, we're signing Rashan to a $107 million 4-year extension to we're trading him and just ecstatic that anybody wanted the rest of his contract?
Yeah, I think the big qualm I had with Gary from the moment they drafted him was one, I didn't quite understand him playing outside linebacker in the 3-4. Went back when they drafted him in 2019. I was like, I don't quite get this. He's huge. Like we should be in a 4-3 here, or he should be playing end. Is he going to bulk up? I didn't quite understand it. And I think he acted, and I don't know if it ever went away. He just acted like a speed rusher for so much of his career. And when, the knee injuries happen at that size and you're trying to be more of a speed rusher, turn the corner, and you don't have as much power and you have just a couple moves that are I think more baked into the speed repertoire, that's kind of what happens, right? Everything gets sapped from the knee, and then it's, turning the corner isn't as easy, and exploding one of those first two steps isn't as easy. And I think that knee injury, again, it just stinks that kind of sunk him a little bit at a time where he was really peaking, right? You had that 2021 season that was phenomenal. And I don't even think, 23 was necessarily terrible either. Like, I think it was solid, but it's just these last two. And again, that's maybe part of why the change of scenery. He's going to Dallas. They're going to be in the 3-4. Like, maybe they think he's going to play outside linebacker in the 3-4 opposite Ezeraku. Okay, maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs to go back to that. Because it does seem like these last two seasons, it's just either that injury and the wear and tear of playing the game has caught up to him, and he just can't win the same way with maybe slightly different alignments. So I think that, it is tricky when we were wondering if we were going to hear anything about him dealing with injury this season. But again, this season was rough. The sacks were cleanup sacks from Micah's disruption for the most part, and I think it was very clear by season's end that Van Ness has started to turn a corner and was going to be starting over him anyway. And I think a lot of us were thinking this was kind of the conclusion at the end of the season of, like, he's just probably not going to be here because we just don't have – there's just not a spot for him. Like, it doesn't seem like he is as effective as we need someone to be in the rotation. So, it's tough because – who knows what could have been. But that's what sucks about this, and the toll that all of this takes on the body, and how things aren't necessarily the same right away, year after, or it just completely saps some of your game away and you can't kind of get back there. It's the harsh reality of this sport. And so hopefully he can find a little bit of his old self in Dallas. But yeah, it just seemed like it made sense. Writing was on the wall. Can't believe that Green Bay got a fourth for him. That doesn't absolutely blown away, especially a 27 fourth that could be used to move up in what I think will be a better draft class. Listen,
maybe more top heavy draft class. Yeah.
Leave the paint up on the fence across the street that says thank you, Jerry. Leave it there. Okay? Leave it there. He's apparently doing us favors. I don't know why. You know, blackmail. I don't know. I don't know what Green Bay's got on Jerry for these deals right now.
Honestly, lock
what are we
Brian
doing?
Gutekunst up for elder abuse at this point.
Yeah,
He's
it
taking
might.
advantage of
Honestly,
Jerry.
it does kind of feel like that. So, yeah, I think. Yeah, I think again, but in terms of starters, Green Bay's in a good spot. They have one guy who's more undersized, right? Explosive, move the ball in the formation, add the fifth rusher in there when you get these pressure packages, and then you got the guy who's the true end, the D end, hand in the dirt, anchor down against the run, physical, take people out, and then who has some athleticism himself. Like, this is exactly, I think, what you want. For the kind of the hybrid game that we've kind of reached to this point of, like, yeah, you don't really in the 4-3, you would obviously two big dudes is helpful. It could be beneficial, but you might lose a little bit in the pass rush. You know, so there is a lot. Having versatile guys like Van Ness and Parsons really helps. But now, because he exits, because another edge rusher exits,
let's do this.
I think we pivot right there. Because I think that's as important, and even on a mock draft Monday, this is an important tidbit here.
So Kingsley Enagbare goes to the Jets, $10 million for 1 year. Yep. This was a dude I loved in college, South Carolina edge, and I thought that he was probably, outside of Micah, I think he's been easily the most reliable edge guy that we've had. Kind of just a lunch pail dude, shows up, does his job, even on the days where everybody else on the defensive line is struggling. It's kind of like, okay, well, if nobody else is playing well today, that means it's the Kingsley show. Now, Kingsley's stats were never that impressive. Kind of a better run defender than pass rusher. His pressure rate was below 10%. He had like 2 sacks this past year. I thought he was a really good piece to have, a guy that you could put in there on a third down when you needed to take one of your starters out of the game to rest them, that like you didn't really worry about it because Kingsley was out there. Very assignment sound. $10 million for 1 year going to the Jets. I'm going to be honest, I would have paid that. But I also understand that they do have some other guys that they're ready to move to. Barryn, Sorrell, and Colin Oliver, backing up LVN and Micah Parsons. I think it's kind of imperative that they go ahead and add a high draft pick at edge this year. I think it's time. And I'm sure on Friday we're going to get into options. And Jake, I'm going to forbid us right now. But you know what? I will let you name one name only, edge in the draft that you will want to talk about on Friday. You can drop the name now. We'll talk about him on Friday, and then we'll do other edge guys that we can talk about on Friday. But today's not mock draft Monday. It's free agency reaction Monday. We'll do mock draft live on Friday. So drop your name.
Hold on, I'm gonna change my headline.
That's what he wants to say.
So there we go. Get out of here.
You want to talk about Rashan Gary? There you
Folks,
go.
Malachi Lawrence at 52, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, already.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
this is what
do your mock drafts today while you're watching this. Do a mock draft. Pick him at 52. See how it goes. Just see what you think. Okay.
So all of a sudden, edge defensive end has like really skyrocketed.
Yep.
Up the list of Packers needs, and we still don't know exactly what type of front they're going to be wanting to run as their base this year. So I would say at this point, you should have, true 4-3 D end and outside linebacker both as guys that you're looking at on the board. It's too early to make any kind of cuts yet.
Yeah, I think
start doing that.
Either maybe lean heavier player, to be honest, right? I in the Kingsley mold, hover in that 255 to 260 range, I think would be perfect. I mean, if they want to go bigger, they obviously can. We know who that player is. We'll probably talk about him
It took me a second to realize you were saying a heavier player. I thought you were saying lean heavily more toward it being a player. I'm like,
oh,
are you talking about like the character of the guy or what? You're talking about a heavier edge.
Yeah, yeah. So if they, I mean, they're going to be options. There are lots of players we'll probably be talking about. Heck, that might be the whole dang show on Friday. We'll see. But
it could very well be. We have other moves to get to.
Kingsley like perfectly bridged the gap between how big Van Ness and Gary were and how small Parsons is relative, right, to the rest of the room. Like it was a perfect bridge of like, if he aligns here versus here, he's not going to be an out of position person at any point. Like he just, again, perfectly bridged the gap between two roles and could do both. And so having a player like that is a big deal. And I know, let me see, where was it? He says, Dershel says 10 mil for Kingsley was a big surprise. You would think so until then you watch what the other edge rushers were getting today. And you go, oh, well, former first round pick, Kwity Paye got a decent amount. Mafe got a bunch from Cincinnati, and then Odafe Owe, my goodness, a gigantic deal with Washington. So honestly, not as surprising anymore.
Missed that one.
Yeah, Owe 4 for 100, 68 guaranteed. They said that some of the escalators are probably going to push that at least to 80.
Nice.
So it's going to be around 20 for him. So I mean, my gosh, like 10 million is like, we're reaching that point where the NFL and some of these role players are turning into role players at the NBA level, right? Where the NBA role players were getting 15 million to be backups, to be 7th, 8th man on the bench. Like we're getting to that point where like you're a rotational player, you can push double digit millions per year now, especially at more important positions, right? Like again, the Chiefs gave Jalen Moore, who really didn't start for them at tackle, 15 million per last year. And he might start now, but again, they were like, we're gonna do this at a position of importance. So unfortunately, not as surprising when you saw some of that today.
So let's go on to, I would say, the second biggest news of the week, and this would be the acquisition by trade.
I did not do it that time.
No, that was all me. I clicked the button that clearly shows you and me in this position.
Little double tap.
Yeah. So anyway,
it happens apparently.
We traded Colby Wooden, our at times number one defensive tackle last year, when Devontae Wyatt shockingly missed more time because he, has never played more than like half a season for us. We traded Colby Wooden for linebacker Zaire Franklin. He's certainly a different type of linebacker than Quay Walker. I think that the folks who really like Zaire, what they like most about him is his nastiness. He plays with an edge. He's got a big mouth. And like that has always been the thing that has been lacking from Green Bay's defense for sure. So, if we have just a couple mean dudes with attitudes out there on defense, I think that helps. But Jake, do you want to talk about your thoughts on Zaire's fit with the Packers and what your expectations are for him? And also, do you think this is going to preclude us or prohibit us from making a high draft selection at linebacker, a la Jacob Rodriguez or Anthony Hill?
I don't think it should, to be honest. This one was pretty surprising, considering how poor he played last year. I don't quite understand this one. You're trading for a guy he's on a 10 million AAV contract, and Quay just got slightly over 13 per, and I'm just not sure why that was the case, and you had to part with a defensive lineman, and now the room's thinner than it already was. This one's going to be baffling, I think, for a while. That's the thing I think he like brings the most of, like, yeah, of course, when he's freed up and he can run, chase, hit, talk, all of that stuff, awesome. The problem that currently exists for this Green Bay team is that they don't have guys who are going to be able to control the line of scrimmage to free him up enough. So, yeah,
Which I think is a separate talk, separate conversation. Let's talk about the linebackers with Zaire,
Okay.
and then talk about
Okay.
the loss of Colby Wooden as
Okay.
because I think that's two separate issues.
So, again, he's certainly made splash plays, right? Like I think there are splash plays, but like they're just massive lapses in coverage where I think when he's making plays downhill against the run, it's clearly because he's beating guys to the spot. And that is great. And it's something you have to have. You have to have a guy who understands what's coming and can be athletic enough to defeat a guard to a spot, either turn the running back inside, make the play himself, or string him out, right? Like, so having somebody like that is good. I just think he loses coverage assignments like way easier than I was hoping he was going to. I was hoping that the coverage grade was because his assignments were difficult, and they really weren't. So I just don't. This one baffles me. I just like would you have rather had Zaire Franklin for 10 million per or like Nakobe Dean for 12?
I mean, I would have rather had Quay Walker
Or Quay Walker for 13. That's also fine. 13
Yeah.
change, whatever it was. Yeah, I agree.
Look, let me just get this out of the way. Packer fans have always hated Quay Walker. They've always wanted him gone. He's just one of those players, and they didn't like Rashan Gary either. So, happy offseason to your average Packer fan who didn't like either one of those defenders. I always thought that Quay, and I didn't like Quay very much as a draft prospect. He was my number 100 player in that draft class, so taking him where we did at 22 was frustrating to me. But I always felt that he was pretty underrated by Packer fans. I thought that he was a pretty darn solid linebacker, had his issues. Zaire, for me, been trending the wrong way the last few years in terms of his quality of play. I will tell you, when I posted my displeasure about or even just confusion about like what precisely Gutekunst sees in Zaire, I had a lot of people, probably at least 5 different people, reach out to me and ask word for word. They said, "Oh, so you're telling me that the Pro Bowl means nothing now?" And I'm like, "Yes, it means not less than nothing. This has been true for a while."
Yeah.
So look, there's Colts fans who watched him play who really love him and think he is just absolutely the bee's knees, and they love his attitude. They love he's a really hard hitting linebacker. I saw a lot of Packers fans getting excited about the clip of Franklin causing a fumble at the goal line on Josh Jacobs that was scooped up by a Colts teammate. And I guess what I do like about this, he's not very expensive, and he does provide a floor to this room that I feel much more comfortable with than I did with just Isaiah McDuffie. So I would like for Zaire Franklin to be maybe the starter for the first few games of the year as you're working a young guy in, and then just kind of play more of a rotational backup role. I'd like to have a higher upside guy in there over Zaire. But the other thing to consider here, because he's not that expensive, is that I think they may have been moving on from Colby Wooden anyways, just due to him potentially being not any type of a fit for what Jonathan Gannon was going to want to run here in Green Bay. And so at that point, if the Colts are willing to give you a veteran linebacker with experience and attitude who can just provide you with that really high floor for your linebacker room and some depth to a very thin position group, I like the addition overall. I just don't love the idea of him kind of being an every down starter for you all season long. I'd rather have somebody with a higher ceiling in there. And maybe it ends up being something where Zaire really does play for us a ton this year. And it's kind of like Edgerrin Cooper's rookie season, where you're like, okay, I can see the flashes and I can see this guy is still developing and can't be out there all game. And like we're kind of willing to lean on the veteran for this season, and then next year it's go time with the young buck. So doing something like that moves the needle for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like, I think, again, Hopper, McDuffie, Cooper was your room there briefly. Obviously,
And I don't like Hopper. I like McDuffie
is
significantly more than Hopper, and I don't like McDuffie that much. So it was Edgerrin and kind of nobody. And I think that this provides a floor that you didn't have with Hopper or McDuffie.
Yeah, I just kind of wish it was Quay or Nakobe Dean. But
Sure, absolutely.
But I actually don't know if this is necessarily the case. Adam Huddle saying I don't think Green Bay saw a good Mike option at 52. I would not guarantee that, because I think that we've seen them sign and draft, or I guess in this case trade for and draft, on plenty of occasions where maybe it seemed a little surprising at the time.
Sure.
I don't think, unfortunately, guys like Anthony Hill and Rodriguez and Golday are necessarily out of the question in the second or third round, depending on where, they believe they can get them. So I wouldn't at this point, even though there've been moves and they've done a lot of different things to this point, right? They've made probably more moves than I would have expected at this point.
They've been active for sure.
I think that we just simply can't rule out anything at 52 and 84 right now. Nothing. Yeah. You can't rule, and I know everybody on Twitter was like, yeah, the 5 offensive linemen are set, and I guess 6 actually, which we'll admit it. But I don't think that's a guarantee. I don't think that's any guarantee at this point either. So I think they've still kind of left themselves open to options, right? If they like the best linebacker 52, they could do that. If they like the best edge rusher 52, they could do that. If they like defensive tackle 52, they probably won't do that. So I think, receiver, I don't think it's impossible. Like, think about this for a second too, right? Not to completely, move off the topic yet, but like, did you watch what Alec Pierce just got, folks? Alec Pierce got $29 million to stay in Indy. Okay, he could have got more than that if he left. If Watson has another big season, he's going to want that much, and then the money's going to be. It's don't overlook receiver this year either. Like there's so many potential options, because I don't think, like, obviously there are needs that are defined. But man, I mean, like, people just kind of going down the line, like D-line, O-line, tight end, maybe backup running back. Like, there's a lot of things they need. So,
Yeah. Well, and I like Coach Len's comment here that we have too many other needs, and he highlights defensive tackle and corner right away. And over the last couple of weeks, you've heard me start to say that I was feeling really uncomfortable with where the team's roster was. That there just were, it was starting to feel like there were potentially so many holes that we maybe didn't have all the draft picks to address some of those. And so a move like this, where like I already wanted to upgrade over Colby Wooden, to bring in like a baseline linebacker so that you maybe could wait a couple rounds on linebacker if there's a defensive tackle and a corner sitting there in the first two picks that you have, that you feel some flexibility to wait a little bit and grab somebody who's maybe a little bit more developmental, who can't play for you right away. I do want to make sure that we take a little bit of time to talk about the division the rivals that we have.
Can we
big moves today?
After that, can we do rapid fire of the starred comments, and then we'll get to
absolutely.
Okay, sweet. Because I know we're on time crunch, so I want to make sure, we get to some of that for the folks who are chilling in here at the moment. Because we got 17 on YouTube is a lot right now. So
I want to hit on at least the Lions, preferably the Lions and Bears. We can probably skip the Vikings for today. And I want to talk about
the Vikings. Anything? Oh, I think they signed they got a corner from the Steelers, right? I think.
Didn't they get a center as well? I think they got a center today.
Maybe. I know the Lions did. Anyway,
Lions did, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
But I want to make sure we hit Colby Wooden, and talk about the Lions and hopefully the Bears as well, and rapid fire our remaining comments. So, number one, Colby Wooden exiting. As I said, kind of an odd duck out, perhaps, as we are moving to what Jonathan Gannon is going to be running. And I see a lot of people on social media saying, oh, what we really need is a nose tackle. I kind of disagree that that's specifically what we need. Like, it'd be nice to have a good nose on the roster, but what we really need is an every down running mate for Devontae Wyatt, because especially if we're moving to a 3-4 defense, but even if we're not, you have to have two guys in the middle who can handle the responsibilities that Gannon is going to give for them, so that you're freeing up your linebackers to go heat-seeking missile. And defensive tackle has been such a depleted room for a while. Outside of drafting Devontae Wyatt in 2022 and then grabbing Wooden and Brooks in 2023 in the early day 3, this has been a room that Gutekunst has just never allocated resources toward at all. You look at 2018, 19, 20, 21, just absolutely did nothing. Kept paying Kenny Clark over and over again. And you could tell that they really felt that was like the move. Like, hey, what do you mean we're not prioritizing defensive tackle? We got Kenny Clark. He's one of the best in the game. And it doesn't matter. There's nobody next to him. And then, since then, you look at 24 and then especially 25. Like in 2025, at this point in the year, you and I were already talking about, man, this defensive tackle room is really not in good shape. It's Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt and kind of nobody else. Then we're like, hey, they really need to make additions. Hey, we're going to trade away Kenny Clark. You and I are good with that because we felt that he was really past his prime and not worth what he was being paid. We're like, great. That means we can get somebody else in there who's actually going to be more of a contributor, hopefully pay him less. And Goody's like, guess what? We're just going to roll Colby Wooden out there all year. He's going to be your new Kenny Clark. Well, now we're trading away Colby Wooden. And like this room, and it's mathematical too, right? We can look at how many defensive tackles they typically keep on the roster. They kept fewer last year than they ever keep. And not just including like the guys who can actually play, but like even depth. They just didn't have depth on the roster. So at this point, even with as bad as the corners were and as thin as linebacker was getting, and now even with losing two big time snap eaters from defensive end in Rashan Gary and Kingsley and Egbari, I think you can't look at this roster and say that there's another need that even is in the same tier of as dire as defensive tackle. Like, this has to be something they hammer in the draft, and also they need to get a free agent as well, because I don't care if your second round pick and third round pick are both quality defensive tackles. You need to add a veteran who can play to this roster. We've seen nothing from any of our 7th round picks and UDFAs that we have on the roster to indicate that they're ready to step into a starting role here. Devontae Wyatt, again, has never played for us for more than half a season. And so the only other guy who can be on the football field for you next to Devontae Wyatt full time, or when Devontae Wyatt inevitably misses time again, start in his place, is Carl Brooks, who's a complete tweener. I love Carl Brooks, but that man is not a big defensive tackle. He's like a hybrid defensive end. He can play for us a little bit on the interior in a pinch, but you need somebody who you can rely on, like a Dean Lowry at a minimum. Like this is going to be something they have to attack in free agency and the draft. And I got to tell you, Jake, I'm nervous. If there is one position group on this roster that Gutekunst has completely lost my faith in, it's defensive tackle. He's always deprioritized it. Never actually stocked that room adequately. Like 2022, when we had Kenny Clark and rookie first-round pick Devontae Wyatt. That's easily the best you could have ever felt about this room. And that was really when, at that point, you start seeing the decline of Kenny Clark, and it takes a while for Devontae Wyatt to get going. And it's like, this is the highest you can ever feel about the potential of that room. It really never delivered. And like right now, it has to be the worst you've ever felt about the potential of this room. So there's a lot of positions on this roster that I would absolutely trust Brian Gutekunst to do a one-season makeover. But that should have happened last year with defensive tackle, and he completely punted on it. We're going to trade away Kenny Clark and replace him with nobody. And we're just going to go into the season with fewer defensive tackles than we've ever carried. So I'm nervous. Tool for this wants to go trade for Jalen Carter. You and I are both pretty nervous about the fact that Philly wants to move on from him. What do they know that we don't? Because if Philly doesn't want to tolerate what you got going on, that should be a red flag to everybody in the league. I'd say like maybe the Cleveland Browns would be the team that you would expect to be more tolerant than Philly when it comes to what a player might do that they don't want to put up with. Nervous about that. I would say, hey, if we did go get him, I'd be cautiously very excited. But I also, if you're asking my opinion, I'm out on going after Jalen Carter because the Eagles have no perceivable reason to want to move on.
We did a mock, remember, earlier this year where we traded for a defensive tackle. The Jets beat us to it. The Jets went and got Tavondre Sweat because they knew he wasn't a fit in the Titans defense anymore. That felt like
who
a
was
move.
it? Who was it who signed Tonga today?
Yeah, no, that pissed me off.
Was it Washington?
No, Kansas City did.
Kansas.
That pissed me off. That one hurt. That one hurt a lot. That's what I wanted. Kyrus Tonga, if you didn't see that, the Chiefs signed him to like 3 years, $21 million. That's cheap as heck. That one pissed me off. I saw that come across my desk and I wanted to flip my desk. That sucked. That's exactly the type of player they needed. They didn't want to. So or they were too busy trying to shop Elgton Jenkins. Maybe. I would put again. We talked about this, and I did this kind of in a mock draft that I put together and just posted, and everybody was freaking out because a certain position wasn't addressed until a lot later. They were like, "Well, why aren't you?" I think my first 4 picks were defensive line and offensive line. I'm pretty sure, or at least the first 3 were. And so people are like, "Well, why aren't you addressing corner? Why aren't you addressing corner?" I'm like, "Man, listen, we don't got D tackles. We lost two edge rushers, right? I mean, do you feel comfortable in the O-line that had one of its worst years in a long time? I'm not. I'm not just cool with just running it back, So I
go back to the Zaire Franklin thing. There's so many position rooms on the roster,
folks,
that I think Goody has let deteriorate to a point of national emergency.
Well,
corner,
and I think it's
O
tough.
line, D line, linebacker. It was really starting to add up.
It's tough when you have draft classes that you have like one that is just like banger after banger after banger, and they all become free agents at once. Like Kansas City has lost their whole secondary this past week from that 2022 class. They lost the entire secondary because it was a good class. They're going to lose Chenal too, right? And so Green Bay is losing Doubs and Walker and Enikbare, right? Like they it's tough when this happens. Philly's already lost Dean, right? Like so, this is happening,
and this is where the 2024 and 2025 classes really start to be felt, because it's like, listen, as the 2022 class starts exiting the roster, you really need 2024 guys to like in 2026. This is when 2024 guys need to be taking over the roster.
Which
so
I think they're in a decent
we need
position to
be
do
right
so.
on those guys.
Jordan Morgan has to be right. Jordan Morgan has to be right at this point.
And I think we feel comfortable with him as assuming that the left tackle is where they stick him, and they absolutely should. I think we feel pretty confident that he is at least going to be an average to above average starting left tackle at a minimum. That we feel pretty confident. We'd be pretty much shocked if he's below average as a left tackle for us.
I know. I'm a little suspicious.
It's too late to be suspicious, man. And she's already gone. She's already gone.
A little suspicious. Oh no. I'm saying take a tackle in this draft. Period. I wouldn't be messing around no matter what. So
I mean, I'd be happy to take a tackle, but I'm not saying that I'm going to take a tackle and expect him
to start.
To start in year one. Like
no.
This is where we're at for this year. It's Jordan Morgan or Darian Kennard, basically, and then after that, it's like Travis Clifford time.
No, it better not be.
Well, I'll tell that to Goody and his very
not
thin offensive line.
Better not be. Okay, I'm gonna JJ. I don't know if you have like images and other things you want to pull up for our division rivals, but I was gonna roll through the chat rapid fire here.
I got a sick image. This is gonna blow your mind. You ready for
12 of this? Sorry, your guy Kohler isn't coming to the Packers. Yes, he signed a 3-year, $24 million deal with the Chargers.
Yeah, he's the highest paid blocking tight end in the league now. Did you see that?
Stupidest thing yes, this is the stupidest tweet I've ever seen. And people think that we want to tune into the Insiders, a show on NFL Network that literally is just tweets being talked about. Like, you have to be kidding me. Especially when you do crap like that.
Who's the number? Who's
Kittle.
The highest paid pass rushing defensive end? I wonder.
Well,
that's the highest paid blocking.
Who's the highest paid receiver that catches the football?
Who's the highest graded passing quarterback in the NFL?
Yes, exactly. So
and to specify in the NFL, because you could in college you could have a dog water passer who's a really good college quarterback, and still. I would show this. People still watch ESPN? No,
that's not ESPN.
Shouldn't.
That's NFL Network. Let me see here. Two of us wants a big signing to happen. D line. We don't need no stinking D line. Too old for this. Very, very good there. Adam Huddle at too old for this. We're doing the Blink 182 to all the comp picks at the beginning. That was really good. I enjoyed seeing that. For next year's going to be good. Chet Fuel saying, did you not see his rep against the Jaguars? Talking about Rashad Gary. I believe that's the one where he was doing the fake crossover stuff. Absolutely hilarious behavior. Go Pack M2E says, do you think we're making room for a reason? Noting the Elgton Jenkins cut, do you think we're planning something big?
Do I think we're making room for a reason? Yes, we were very far over the salary cap, and we had guys we had no intention of bringing back. Rashan Gary was getting cut today if we had not found a trade partner. Elgton Jenkins did get cut today because they couldn't find a trade partner. The Aaron Banks restructure could have done without that one, but they like Aaron Banks for some reason. Not sure why.
Jalen Phillips did get a bag from Carolina. Thank goodness it wasn't Philly. Coach Lensed's glad we sat today out. Too many expensive contracts. Still a ton of talent. Absolutely. Again, if they really want to, they can go get Devin Lloyd. That is a possibility. Blue Cheese comment on Twitter. We like seeing those. The pastors always get paid.
Hold on, Jake. You can't go through all our starred chats right now because I put my Lions logo on screen so we can talk about our division rivals.
All right. I just wanted to catch up.
You agreed that we would do the starred messages afterwards.
Yeah, but then we went on like a 10-minute rant where we kind of put that planning out.
You're breaking the contract.
When we put that planning out, you went on
Brad
a rant.
Holmes
you went
and
on
the
a
Big
D-tackle
Ten are going to
rant.
take you to court. They're going to
went on a D-tackle rant. You went on a D-tackle rant. We had to get this in, especially if we're at a hard stop.
I want to talk about the Lions.
Please do.
The Lions and Bears made kind of a lot of moves. And unfortunately for me as a Packer fan, I thought that their moves were not too bad. Didn't like to see that. We'll talk about the big one when it comes to the Lions. I think you have to start with Cade May as the center that they acquired. You and me and Brian Mompey talked about Cade May last week as a potential target for the Packers at center, and we kind of said that like that was a move where it would kind of prohibit you from looking to replace starter in the draft, that he wouldn't be super cheap. He ended up being a lot cheaper than I was expecting. I thought it was a pretty good deal for the Lions. Cade May to me is like a high floor, low ceiling, pretty consistent, plug and play center. The Lions have so many problems on offensive line that being able to solidify the center spot is huge for them. They can start building outward from there. They're going to have to move Penei Sewell to left tackle. You just have to. Or take Caden Proctor in the first round, which we would love to see.
Here's the thing.
I don't know. Maybe Caden Proctor could hack it at right tackle for him.
There is another option.
Give me the other option.
Unfortunately, is if Cleveland balks and doesn't take Freeling at 6. I think they're moving up. I think they're moving up to get him. They'll move up to get him, I guarantee it. If Cleveland balks at 6 and they don't pick him, Detroit will move up. So be prepared for that. 100%. I'm glad I put that in your brain. I don't want
Freeling to go to Detroit.
Listen, I'm glad I put that in your brain now, JJ, instead of surprising you in April. Because
here's the thing, too.
That's what I'm thinking. If Cleveland balks at 6,
so many,
they will go get
Ohio State superstars in reach for Cleveland.
That's what I mean. They could take
Cleveland
no problem.
will not be able to resist the siren's call of keeping a kid in
That's
state,
what I mean.
going after Carnell Tate or not that they really need linebacker, but like if Sonny Styles is available to them, there's zero chance they'd pass on him.
Potentially. Styles plus Schlesinger would go hard, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can talk about that on our Cleveland Browns show. The Lions have to find some answers at guard. They have to find a tackle. Hopefully, their tackle ends up being Caden Proctor instead of Monroe Freeling, because I could live with Proctor. I would love if they took Proctor.
Yeah.
They lost some guys.
They've got Mahogany.
Yep.
Now they have Mays.
Mahogany should have been a Packer. I will
Mays
die
at center. Ratledge is going to be their right guard, and then Sewell's going to play one of the tackle spots for sure. So
I think that just due to the experience and the high ceiling, I think you have to move Penei Sewell to left tackle, and then work in your rookie at right tackle. I'd rather have Freeling or Proctor or whoever working out their kinks at right tackle as opposed to left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, or
because Detroit's still trying to chase a Super Bowl this year. They are not. They're not looking for the slow rebuild.
Quite simply,
they had the rebuild year.
They can go get Malinoa, right? Who's already played there. He plays right tackle. Fano plays right tackle. He's a little bit skinnier build, but he plays right tackle. Iheanacho plays right tackle. So they'll have options of guys of like, if they don't want to move somebody to play a different position, right? There are options. Like, again, if Malinoa is sitting there in the, 10, 11, 12 Miami area, they could go get him too.
Should go a lot earlier than that, but he certainly may not. It could get wild.
So I think the Lions are going to be aggressive. I think they're going to be aggressive in the first round when it comes to tackle position. But they signed Cade Mays, lost nasty streak, by the way, as well, at the position, which is something that I think, again, if you had asked me, hey, would you want a nasty streak at linebacker
this past year?
Linebacker or center? I would say center, because I want offensive linemen pissed off that our quarterback gets hit. That's what I want. I don't want these nonchalant indifference BS about our quarterback getting hit, okay? Nonchalant nonsense I don't know if that's changing knock it off.
I don't know if that's changing this year. I mean, we're kind of running it back with mostly the same group, and we still have our piss poor offensive line coach and our very meek and mild mannered head coach and offensive coordinator. Like there's not a mean bone in the body of any of those big lugs, and none of those offensive linemen are mean. Like maybe the closest you get to having any of those guys be at all mean would be like Belton at right guard.
Yeah. It's probably Belton then
Sean Ryan's
Ryan.
a big teddy bear.
It's
Jordan
probably,
Morgan is
it's
big
probably
teddy
Ryan
bear.
second, honestly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Second.
Like
that's not great, folks.
he'd be the big teddy bear on any other offensive line in the league. All right, back to the Lions real quick. They lost Alex Anzalone to Tampa Bay. I will not miss that scumbag in the division. See ya, sayonara. I think the Lions potentially have internal options they can look to. That linebacker may not be a position they have to panic and address in the draft here. You'd want to add some bodies for sure. Lloyd's still out there, and I could very much see that happening. And that would be a big upgrade.
Oh, Chanel's a Campbell guy, though. They could still do that. They could still do that, too.
Yeah, Leo Chenal from Kansas City or Devin Lloyd with Jacksonville. If they could get either one of those two guys, that's a humongous upgrade over Alex Anzalone. And they do need to add some bodies, but I think that's maybe a position that they could survive because they have other holes, particularly on defense, that do need to really be patched. Yeah. Another position that I think is kind of terrifying territory for them would be corner. They lost Amik Robertson to Washington today, and he was the corner of theirs that I had the most faith in to actually do his job if you sent him out there. I think that Terry and Arnold, especially Ennis Rakestraw, have just been abysmal. Desperately need.
Has Rakestraw played?
No, but this is the thing. He's tiny and injury prone. This is why I never wanted him. I hated seeing him mocked to the Packers. He was a waste of a draft pick in the second round for the Lions. He's barely played. When he has played, he's been awful. And Terry and Arnold has, athletic potential oozing out
Davis
his ears.
and Igmanosin syndrome.
Well, Davis and Igmanosin might end up in Detroit, frankly.
Well,
I could see them going that route. I mean, I don't know.
And also Arnold missed a ton of time last year too, by the way. Right? So
I think Amik Robertson is a huge loss for Detroit. And I would say edge rusher and tackle are the only positions I would put above corner as far as what the Lions need to know. Now, if they can address even two out of those three, I think they're a pretty scary team again.
Yeah, so if they get Maonoa and Chris Johnson, that would suck. You're welcome for putting that out there. You're welcome for putting that out there. Welcome.
Chris Johnson's not going to be a Lion.
You're welcome for putting that out there. I wouldn't do that
to me. He would not let Chris Johnson go to the Lions.
Chris Johnson's
going to be a Packer. Hey, Chris Johnson's going to be a Packer. He's sitting there at 52 for. Oh yeah. I know he's going to be a first round pick, but he's going to magically end up still being there at 52, even though he's a first round pick. So, yeah. No,
the good news is the team I thought had them picking in the first, that I think could pick him in the first. They re-signed Josh Jobe today, which is an important step to him not being picked there, which is nice. But anyway, so yeah, there's Detroit. Do we have any others on Detroit?
I'm trying to remember. There's something else I think I wanted to hit on Detroit.
They signed Larry Borum too for.
That's the one.
Depth.
That's the one. So they have, and Borum could start some games for them this year, and may have to, if their first round pick ends up being a tackle, and if he just needs a little more time to get going, I could easily see Borum lock it down for like 5 games for you, and then maybe he's like really rock solid for the first 4 of those games, and then a game like 5 or 6. It's just a little questionable, and maybe they come out and they're like, Larry tweaked something this week. We're going to put Freeling out there. And then that's just it for Bourne. And he ends up being just a really reliable swing tackle backing up the 2 starters. I think that's like optimal scenario you're hoping for if you're a Lions fan. I think this is a great signing for them. I really do. I liked it right away.
Yeah. So they've kind of addressed some of the interior line. They needed it. They went out and kind of took care of business. Chicago?
So Chicago, the move that they made.
Chicago.
Do you want to find it? You want to put a Chicago logo up there for me? I should have been doing that. Or actually, you know what? I think I got one here.
Yeah, well,
I got one.
okay.
Oh man, it's so ugly. Love it. You have to love this.
It is a toilet seat.
No, I'm
JJ.
actually I'm not gonna do that to them. I'm gonna put their better logo on.
JJ,
screen.
what did the Gare Bears do?
So the Gare Bears went and got Kobe Bryant. You remember him, the former Cincinnati corner, not the NBA superstar. So they got Kobe Bryant, who just finished up his rookie contract with Seahawks. He's been pretty solid, and he got signed to a really affordable contract. I think that Kobe has a pretty firm ceiling. You know, he's not the most athletic guy. I think he's got a pretty firm ceiling, and I'm a little bit curious to see what he does outside of Mike McDonald's defensive scheme. What are you talking about, Iowa Joe? He says, if you think it's so great, then just go be a Lions fan. What are you talking about? If I think what's so great? I don't think the Lions are great. Oh, the Larry Borum signing. If I think the Larry Borum signing is good. No. All right. The Kobe Bryant acquisition, I think, is a good deal. They also went and got Garrett Bradbury as he's gonna be their starting center. They got him from the Patriots. I think we talked about this on Friday already. I don't know what they saw in 6 years when he was playing in Minnesota that made them say, "Ooh, we want a piece of that." But Bradbury, to me, this is like kind of best case scenario if you are a Packer fan, is seeing them go out and get a not that great center who is just kind of going to be their entrenched starter. I think this is a little bit different than the Cade May signing of Cade May. I think has a significantly higher floor and also doesn't preclude them from trying to upgrade there. So, and Cade May, I think you could shuffle him around a bit if needed, as they're trying to patch holes. So I like the Cade May pickup significantly more than I do the Garrett Bradbury pickup. But the Bears picking up Kobe Bryant, I think helps because they do need some cornerback help. I think it's a smart signing at a enviably affordable price. I would have liked for the Packers to go and do this, frankly, but
well, I don't want to burst the bubble here, but the Packers making this move. He played 908 snaps of free safety last year. He's been a safety for this McDonald defense, not a corner. He made that transition pretty much after his first season in the league.
Really?
Yeah. So he's had 1,500 snaps on the roof of the defense the last 2 seasons now. So
that actually makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
Being slot corner his first season. Obviously was a corner coming out of college, yes. But he has been making some really good plays with range on the roof and kind of almost, you could kind of say, running the alleyway in terms of handling crossing routes. So that means I think Brisker's as good as gone. And so, yeah, I think, and we'll see. Bayard, again,
I feel better about this.
We kind of think Bayard is
over Brisker.
More of a, I think Bayard's going to hit the wall eventually, probably very
I think
soon.
he's already hit the wall. He's
a
retirement threat at any moment. You got to watch out for that.
This was, I think, probably, if I were to look through up and down all the signings, this is probably at the very least a top 5, in my opinion, signing of the day, which stinks. Personally, I don't love it from Green Bay's perspective. Okay,
we're gonna get that depressing picture off the screen then.
And also, I think that the Bradbury trade, they're not done. Sam Hecht, Matt Gulbin, Logan Jones, somebody in that vein. they're going to go get one of those guys.
Well, and that's the thing with
So-
center this year. There's so many options out there that when you saw the entire NFC North was needing to
Figure it
address
out,
a big
yeah.
hole at safety, you kind of didn't assume that any of those four were going to be left out in the musical chairs of center. Musical centers, if you will.
Yeah. So
Here, we got a couple people in the comments here. My father-in-law
Andy
says the Bears
Moss.
still suck. Very true. Very true.
can't stand.
And then this is my mom. She says, joined a little bit late. I was finishing watching the new Knives Out. Jeremy Renner plays a
I've not seen
a
that.
character named Dr. Nat, short for Nathaniel. My son's name is Nat. This was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and I couldn't help the entire time I was watching it. I couldn't help but think about all of the Jeremy Renner conversations that you and I have had over the years. Also, what was it? Knives Out 3. Yeah. I can't remember what the guy's name was. The guy's name was I'm Googling it. His father is Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin played him, and his name was okay, hold on. Wait, I got it. You ready? Ready. Here you go. Jay, do you know the bad guy's name in Knives Out 3? Monsignor Wicks.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow. How about that?
There
This
you
has
go.
been Is It Wicks? Presented by Redacted Energy.
Adam Huddle says the Bears will pick an actual true center. There's a lot of options out there for them. Coach Len says they can't.
And Trey
stand
Zune is an option, right? A&M.
They can't have trains. No, stop that.
So-
They're not taking Trey Zune. They're not doing. Trey Zune is going to be a Packer, and you're going to
No.
shut your face and stop suggesting.
You're
good
right. You're
guys
probably right
to the
because he
Bears.
has less experience there, and so Green Bay wants a tackle to play center versus a center to play center, and Chicago will just take a center to play center. I think so. I don't think you have to worry.
Jake.
I
Listen,
don't think you have to.
do you not see the ledge I'm walking on? Do you not see the visible frustration on my face every day?
No, I
with
just see a mock
Packers
draft
front
lab.
office? Do you not see how close I am to losing it? I'm going to go postal. Don't try and push me over the edge.
As in office?
Jake, you're going to fly.
Oh man.
Okay, so we're about to hit our starred messages that we wanted to get to. But let's do one quick segment on what we expect for compensatory picks next year. Remember, Rasheed Walker and Romeo Doubs are still not signed by a team yet, and both of those we're expecting to probably be the most valuable guys who sign contracts. So Malik Willis signed for 3 years, $67.5 million with
Yep, that's right.
like $28 million guaranteed or something like that. Quay Walker, 3 years, $40.5 million with $28 million guaranteed. I think Malik must have gotten a different guaranteed number because I know Quay is $28 million. And then Kingsley, 1 year, $10 million. The thing you have to remember every time with this, first of all, teams are limited to 4 compensatory picks total. So there's a point at where you can keep losing guys and it's not really benefiting you.
Yep.
Also, the math just isn't baked in right now. You have to wait because playing time does factor a bit. Stuff like Pro Bowls factors in. And although it seems pretty obvious that the Packers are intent on not signing free agents who are going to cancel out some of these pretty valuable compensatory picks, what I don't know is if, let's say that you lose multiple guys who go on to sign big deals. You know, let's say that Malik ends up making a Pro Bowl and he's a starter for the whole year, and then Romeo signs with somebody for $1 bajillion and Sheed signs with somebody for $1 bajillion, and you already have Quay. Like at a point, so you're limited to 4, but do they start like combining to just make those compensatory picks better? I didn't think so, but when I was reading explanations of the 7th round pick that we got in this year's draft class, people were pointing out that the three players who contributed to us getting that 7th round pick were Josh Myers, TJ Slayton, and Eric Wilson, linebacker. And then those were offset by the signings of Aaron Banks and Nate Hobbs. And people were suggesting that it's not really a one-to-one, like you get this player for Eric, or this pick for Eric Wilson, and then the Josh Myers and TJ Slayton picks are just canceled out. But more like, hey, Josh Myers was kind of worth a 7th, and Eric Wilson was kind of worth a 7th, and TJ Slayton was worth kind of a 6th. But with all the canceling out and stuff, you're left with about a 7th. So do you know, Jake? Do they kind of combine to like make compensatory picks better? We're kind of expecting at this point that Malik Willis is probably going to net us a 4th round compensatory pick. If he has a crazy season, makes a Pro Bowl, whatever, then that would look more like a 3rd round pick. But we'll probably set your expectations at like, we're currently at a 4th round pick for him. Yep. Maybe like a 4th for Quay or a 5th for Quay. Yeah, and then like Kingsley is probably getting you about a 6th at this point is kind of what that's looking like.
Yeah, I think 2 3s is out of the question at this point. When Chris N was asking that, 2 3rds and 2 4ths. Again, the Malik Willis 1 1/3 is possible. The longer that Rashid stays out there as a free agent
helps his case, you think?
I don't know. I think maybe we'll see.
I'll tell you what helps his case a lot. What would help his case is if he stays out there for a while and then there's another unexpected retirement. That would help his case a lot. If the people who are really desperate are plugging their holes and then somebody else becomes desperate after like that next tier, you shut up. Clip that.
That's phrasing. Goodness me.
You are shameful, Jacob Schyvinck.
Yes. Yes. It is the shameful one. Yeah, exactly.
I would go this
exactly.
All right. Look, totally broke my train of thought. I don't know where we're going with this, but
no, you basically said, teams have been addressing needs, not in that way. They've addressing needs, and then if you get that unexpected retirement or a trade happens, right? Like your big one, like the Niners and Trent Williams still kind of hanging out there. Like, is that trade going to go down? If it's not, who's interested? Who's the interested party in making that happen, right? Whoever those interested party or parties are, then may pivot to somebody like Walker. So, cannot forget that. Of course, this is only day 1. Yes, indeed.
Isn't it amazing how many deals get agreed to so quickly? Normally it's like months of haggling over prices, but once it's the first day of legal tampering, boom, 5 minutes, 60 minutes, you got yourself a deal. All right, let's do the start comments and questions. But as we're going through those, I want you guys to be thinking about something here. So, Jake and I have been talking extensively about renaming the show to something more descriptive, right? Because, it started out, it was called Packernet Derailed, and now we've just been calling it Derailed since we're not on the Packernet network anymore. But, if a person who's never seen this show before just sees the name Derailed, they're not going to know exactly what this is about, and they might not really have a good reason to click on it. So I think we still like to keep Derailed in the name. But we've been talking about a rename. So, Jake, what's your vote here? Are we a yes on we're renaming, or is it we're a maybe on renaming it? Where would you say?
I think it makes sense.
Okay. So we have some names we're considering internally, but like you guys to send in suggestions. Probably, I think pretty darn soon here, we're going to debut the new name. It's going to be the same show. It's just going to have a more
discoverable
name, right? Like Packernet Derailed made perfect sense. You immediately knew what this was. And so we're just trying to plus up the name to make it more discoverable. So please send in some suggestions. So if you're listening to this on the audio version, or like you're not watching it live, you can put a comment on YouTube. You can email us derailedfootball@gmail.com. You can message Jake or me on Twitter. Jake is Jake NFL Draft. I'm JJLAHEY. Whatever. Just reach out to either one of us any way that you can. If you have a cool name suggestion that you'd like to submit, we have a few names that we're considering internally, but it's not too late to solicit other ideas. So, Jake, go ahead and hit your first starred comment that you want to talk about. I see we got a lot of really good ones.
Yeah, I want to bring this up from Tool for this because he's been waiting for this one for a while.
Yes.
From last week, because obviously Malik Willis officially going to the Dolphins. Would you look into Justin Fields or Anthony Richardson as a backup for the Packers?
Yeah, and I love this question. I really do. And I think for me the answer is like yes, please. I would take either one as a backup. And I'll note there's a long and storied tradition of Bears franchise quarterbacks, so-called, going on to win Super Bowls with the Packers as a backup. So would happily take more of that. I would say I think that there's a little more meat on the bone for me with Anthony Richardson. He was so young and raw when he came out of college, so undeveloped. And, Justin Fields has kind of been through the ringer. If he comes to Green Bay, he'd be the fourth NFL team. This would be his fourth NFL team. And granted, a lot of the places he's been didn't have anything to offer him in terms of development. However, you recall who was responsible for butchering him in Chicago. That man, Luke Getsy, is our quarterback coach once again in Green Bay. So I will say I'm less excited in 2026 about developing either one of these guys than I would have been in 2025. I think Luke Getsy is a buffoon and doesn't know how to do his job. And I think the entire time he was here, he was making all the young quarterbacks worse, not better, and has gone on to do that everywhere he's ever been. I don't think he is qualified to do his job. But Matt LaFleur is here. So, not all hope is lost. Sean Mannion and Tom Clements, I think, both were demonstrably more qualified to do the developing of guys like Malik Willis and Jordan Love than Luke Getsy. So my answer would be I would rather do Richardson, but I'd be fine with either. I'd also be fine with going after Joe Flacco, who's available right now. He's probably going to be out of our price range, I would guess. But I would just say I'd like to add somebody more qualified than Kyle freaking McCord as our backup. I'd even rather run with Desmond Ridder, who's currently on the roster, over Kyle McCord. But let's not do the whole Tim Boyle type backup again, where it's like, because we did that in 2017. Like, we suffered through Brett Hundley, who everybody knew within like 5 minutes of watching the dude. Like, this just isn't it. So having a competent backup quarterback, I think, is really crucial. And I don't want us as Packer fans to look at the Malik Willis era and say, oh, we were just spoiled. We didn't know how good we had it. Like, first of all, we did know how good we had it the whole time he was here. For like, basically, once he started his first game for us in week 2 of the 2024 season, like from then on, we knew how good we had it. But also, like, even once we just first traded for him, trade that 7th round pick to go get him, it's like, hey, this is a higher caliber of backup quarterback than we've had, other than when Jordan Love was backing up Aaron Rodgers. So let's not do the Tim Boyle, Kurt Benkert, Kyle McCord route. Let's get a real backup quarterback. So, I think Fields and Richardson both qualify as that. So what would be your answer? I think
the other thing is the best part is if and when Green Bay does add one of these two, you're going to be met with the comments of how bad both of them are. And I remember doing a video on Malik Willis, and Titan fans were like, am I being gaslit? Like, he sucks. Okay. Right. Like that was the like sentiment. You don't know. If you think you know, right. If your confidence level is super high,
we're bringing back Bo Melton. Breaking news.
Sweet. Cool. We think we know we think this league is more linear than it is. A lot more linear than it is. It just isn't. Okay.
And then Joe Flacco and Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones come along and make fools of us all.
Right. And again, not saying that every backup QB, former first round pick, is going to make everyone look like a fool, but to especially for younger players, to write them off at what Fields is probably 26, I would think at this point, 26 years old.
Yeah, he was drafted in 2021.
And he would have been a junior.
26 sounds right.
I believe. So 26. And then Richardson, again, was, I think, at the very least 22 when he was drafted. And so he's
I think he was only
oldest.
21.
Yeah,
I think
so the oldest he would be is 25, but I think he is maybe 24. Going to be 25 maybe in the season or something like that. But again, these guys are...
He's 23 right now, man. He was born in 2002. I mean, May 2002.
Guys, this is so obvious. They don't even want him. They might give him to us for Bo Melton. We should probably do that. Okay. So I
would you trade Aaron Banks for
for
Anthony Richardson straight up?
Yes.
Would you trade Keisean Nixon?
Yes.
Zaire Franklin.
Yes, of course. Indy, take
All
it
right,
back.
Who's the worst player on our roster you would not trade for Anthony Richardson? The worst player on our roster you would not trade for him. Maybe Anthony Belton. But even then, I don't know.
I probably wouldn't trade Belton just because he's only been here a year. But even then, players I would not trade. It's wild
to me that people think
obviously
Richardson
Love
has no
Jacobs,
real trade market. I feel like there should be 20 teams out there who'd be interested in him.
I think I don't know. I wouldn't trade any of our top 4 receivers for him right now. I would not. I don't think I would do that.
Wicks?
Obviously not. No, I wouldn't.
Is it Wicks?
I wouldn't trade. I wouldn't trade Wicks. So maybe that's
the worst player you would.
That's the answer. I guess
the worst player you wouldn't trade.
Maybe that's the answer. Who's worse, Brooks or Wicks?
Do you think any of our fans think Wicks is funny? Because I laugh about it all the time.
Probably not.
Even when I'm not doing the podcast, I just walk throughout my life. Sometimes I think of it.
There is this.
Screw this right.
But see, this is it exactly.
Right
exactly. The fact that we hate even the sound of it makes me think we should absolutely do it then.
No, because Will Levis. No, I'm going to tell you why. No, on Will Levis. Okay. Will Levis is an idiot. This is why I didn't like him in college. He's a dunderheaded, cotton-headed ninny-muggins. He can't read a defense. He's such a slow processor. I have no interest in him.
Malik Willis
as a
literally could not either. He literally could not.
He's so much smarter. Than
he literally could not.
Will Levis.
And that was at Liberty.
Will Levis
at Liberty, he couldn't do it. So it was the same thing.
I am 115% out on
the same thing.
I would rather go with Kyle McCord than Will Levis, and you know how much I hate Kyle McCord. I would rather roll with Zach Wilson than Will Levis. Will Levis has nothing to offer.
Now I really want to do this because we might get the most epic rant of all time.
No, I'm going to give you the most epic rant of all time because I'm going to finally do my Luke Getsy video. I'm going to do it this week.
Excellent.
Will Levis's favorite ice cream flavor is mayonnaise and olives. You know what? That's even being too generous. Mayonnaise and olives I can live with. Do mayonnaise and peanut butter. Mayonnaise and pudding. Mayonnaise and pudding. That's his favorite flavor. Jeepers.
I think I'd rather do mayonnaise and pudding than mayonnaise and olives. No question.
Our guy Joe says, "What's up, homies? Sorry, late. I feel good, and I promise, JJ, D-line will be addressed." Listen, I would have taken it to the bank 365 days ago, and certainly after we traded away Kenny Clark, I would have said, "Oh, for sure, we're going to add to the D-line." And there's not a position group on this roster that Brian Gutekunst cares about less than defensive tackle. Now, Jonathan Gannon, on the other hand, might care. You will recall, linebacker was significantly, seriously neglected during the first bunch of years that Goody was here. And then when Joe Barry comes in, and Joe Barry values linebacker above all else, since then we've invested a lot into linebacker, and that has continued even after Joe Barry was gone. So, hey, maybe Jonathan Gannon is going to get the Packers to prioritize defensive tackle. And if so, I will fall down on my knees and kiss his feet and say thank you. Metaphorically, he's not here. I'm going to say thank you, Jonathan Gannon, for teaching our general manager that defensive tackle is an important position because the D-line matters. Iowa Joe, I'm not going to pin that comment on screen. Don't want to give that any oxygen. It says the best way to address D-line is go routes to Musgrave. Okay, Jake, back to start comments. You want to hit like one or two more? Got some good ones still.
Yeah. Bungie Cheddarbug said we need a blocking.
This is the one I wanted to get to.
I agree. Oh, do you have more on that? I just was going to say yes. And we move on. But
no. I just wanted
more to say.
I just want to say yes. Yeah. Okay. Big time yes, Bungie Cheddarbug. We do need a blocking tight end. And I thought that there was a couple guys that we've had last year who did an admirable job, like George Fitzpatrick. Is his name John Fitzpatrick? John Fitzpatrick. George Fitzpatrick is Ohio State player. John Fitzpatrick. I thought he was fine. We've had some other guys, like I thought Ben Sims was a decent blocking tight end. But yeah, you can always sell me on adding blocking tight ends to this roster. I think that's hugely important. So I love that.
I know Adam Huddle's hoping Christian Miller falls to 52. I doubt
No, he said Christine Miller. He said Christine Miller.
That's fine. He sure did. This is true. Coach Lynn says bring back Doubs, ? I don't think so.
I love Doubs. I just think he's going to be really
I think
expensive.
that was more in response to I think I remember Coach Lynn putting this down there when we were talking about the Pierce making a lot of money and Watson was going to make a ton on his next deal if he stays healthy. Coach Lynn also was saying I thought we would go after Tonga. Me too.
Thank you. Derailed special. We did like a whole episode about Tonga and how he was like the perfect fit. And who else? Kohler. We wanted Charlie Kohler. Both those guys are gone. Worst day ever. I mean, granted, some really awesome things happened today, but because of those two moves, like, just
it's true.
Tool for this. It's Christineth. Say her name right in my house. Christineth. Best movie of all time. Bungie Cheddarbug's still here. I was worried he was gone. Who in the draft would you want them to grab to fix defensive tackle? Hey, be back here on Friday for mock draft lab. Usually mock draft lab is on Monday, but we had to swap it because of all the free agency chaos. So be back here on Friday. We're definitely talking.
I'll pin that.
The tackle.
We'll make sure we
edge.
have that for Friday.
Big topic on Friday.
And then Iowa Joe said, who would you be more comfortable trading, Reed or Wicks?
Oh, 1,000,000% Reed. He's going to fetch way more than Wicks.
Reed is going to
Wicks.
fetch more.
Wicks is worth nothing on the trade market.
And then we can go
Wicks
get Omar Cooper.
Worth a lot more to us staying on the roster.
Then we can go get Omar Cooper if we trade Reed. So.
Joe wants to know when your next weekly cheddar is.
I don't know. It's a great question. A lot of evenings filled up with a lot of guests talking draft over the next few weeks. So we'll have to figure that out because I was leaving it. It was usually a Friday thing. It was long a Friday thing, but we've kind of moved this to Monday, Friday. So finding another day has been extremely difficult. So yeah,
we appreciate your willingness to be flexible with trying to give the people what they need from Derailed.
Packer Doug's here as well.
Yeah, let's hit this one.
Yeah.
If I have safeties like X and Williams and Bullock and Oladapo, I don't care about corners as much either. And that clearly was the thought process last year from the Packers. Yeah. They felt like, hey, we got Micah up front, and then we got these safeties in the back and linebackers we like in the middle. And so therefore we don't feel the need to take care of defensive tackle and corner. And I think that it worked when everybody was perfectly healthy.
100%.
But when you lost Wyatt, and especially when you lost Micah and Wyatt, you were cooked because that style of defense relies on getting very quick pressure because these corners could only cover for like 3 seconds. So you had to have immediate pressure. And we were just getting diced up when we were playing against quarterbacks who could get the ball out in under 2 seconds. Like you were just absolutely toast because these corners could not hold up. So certainly agree that you can deprioritize corner when you're so locked down at safety and edge. I think that it's going to have to probably stay a little bit more deprioritized than we like because of the huge holes we have along the defensive line now, because D end is getting thin and D tackle was already thin and got even thinner. So I think you have to kind of patch those and make sure those are taken care of before you can really worry about a corner. But that doesn't necessarily mean that has to be the order you draft them in. For example, if our guy Chris Johnson is sitting there within range of like trading up a few spots from 52, even like let's say he's there at like 48, I think you try and trade up for Chris Johnson. And like if a guy like Chris Johnson or one of the other corners that we like is available at our first pick, even if there are some really good defensive tackles, I think at that point you do lean on kind of like, who do you think is the better football player? And if the corner is the better football player, you go ahead and take him, but just also make sure that you address the defensive line. And this is one of those reasons, well, it's the reason why addressing some of these holes in free agency is really important. Why bringing in a guy like Xavier to help give you a competent floor at linebacker is really important. And you should do the same at defensive tackle as well. Because it gives you the flexibility to make the right decision by taking the best player. Because anytime you draft from need because you have to, you are really taking a lot of your opportunity for growth off the table.
Yeah.
Nixon and Valentine are not it. Well, there's also Hobbs. Don't forget, he's still on the roster as of right now. He's probably going to stay on the roster. So,
and we just re-signed Bo Melton to play
so
corner, but actually receiver.
Has he ever played a step first at corner? I can't remember if he was out there once last year.
I don't know. I just remember the Philly.
They just played 3 corners the whole year. Oh, Kamal Haddon got some reps in there as well, but that's it. They didn't play anybody else. It's because they had Bullard on the field all the time. That's why.
Yeah,
that's why. All right. Do you want to hit one more starred comment, or you want to hang up?
I think that's good on our starred comments. We're gonna keep. Your scenario, go after Pons. Don't have to tell JJ that. Go after Pons.
Brian Maffey is gonna shake.
Brian Maffey's gonna say absolutely not. But if you wanna enjoy watching Pons even more, I have dropped a video on D'Angelo Pons. So
nice.
So you should go look at that. Everybody.
All right, I'll put that in the comments.
Who's still here?
In the show notes so that people can find it easily.
D'Angelo Pons. It's out there. And many more to come. But yes, that's there you go. That's day 1 of free agency. We'll be back Friday with all of your NFL draft needs.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Jake is starting to really struggle with how long it's been since we've done a mock draft on the stream. But for what's worth, we've gotten a lot of messages from fans saying that they appreciate splitting it up into mock draft stuff and non-mock draft stuff. Because I guess there were some non-draft mock draft people out there who were like suffering in silence.
Those mock drafts
for you. Hey, we split it up. And for those of us who are really craving some more community mock draft togetherness, we're going to do that on Friday. Got Mock Draft Lab this coming Friday. Thank you for tuning in this Monday night for our free agency reactions here on Derailed. Jake, in the words of long-time Packer legend, late great Mr. Zaire Franklin, go